Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Nitro RX podcast. I'm one of your hosts, as always, Thiemo Daily, and I'm joined once again by my brilliant co-host, Nabila Teshba. How the heck are you?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, thank you. And yeah, kind of off-season episode. We haven't had a lot of news to talk about. We've got two pieces of news which are both big and small in respective ways there, but definitely worth a little chat about. So that's why we're back here today, isn't
Oh, absolutely. And we also missed you guys. It's been a while since we've had anything to talk about. And you know what? I've been itching to get back into it. So at least these are two very exciting pieces of news,
it?
albeit surprising.
Yeah, surprising and but potentially in a good way for both. It's kind of time will tell on both of them. And we'll start with the first one because Nitro RX is no more. From 2023 onwards, it's become Nitrocross, which is essentially just a rebrand. There's nothing else really changed on that front, but interesting rebrand, slightly changed logo as well to come with that. What do you think about it?
I think I preferred the old logo and the old colouring personally. I just think it fit it really well. I understand the Nitro Cross. I mean, they had Nitro Circus, they've had the whole bracket kind of thing. I don't know why they didn't just go for Nitro Circus and make it whatever the hell they wanted, because I'm pretty sure that's the reason they've changed the name in the first place, because they don't want it to be Rallycross. They don't
Hmm.
want to have anything specific. They want it to be a nice blanket open of we can put whatever we want under Nitrocross.
Yeah, because we've
And
seen such a breadth of categories from weekend to weekend, so it's
yeah,
kind of we can't name it one thing. But then, at the same time, Natural Rallycross in itself, you kind of knew that that wasn't meaning Group E itself anyway. So it seems maybe just like a nip tuck version of what it is, maybe.
yeah. I mean, I get they're trying to streamline and everything. I don't know. I feel like Nitro Circus might have fit the whole thing they're trying to do perfectly.
Hmm.
I get why they wanted to keep Nitro Cross. Like, I think it's going to be great. I don't think we're going to see too many changes, except for the one that we're going to discuss shortly.
Yeah.
But it allows them to bring in whatever they want. And it's not like, oh, but you're not sticking to Nitro Rallycross. And they can literally now do whatever they want. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of fun.
I think my only thing now is I need to try and find some of that old merchandise with the old logo on really quickly so I can keep it for about 20 years and then it's worth something.
Yeah, we should get them to send us stuff. Run a
So,
little
Nitro,
competition
if
at
you're
the same
listening, have you got any
time.
Nitro RX stuff that we could have? We just want to look at it. We don't want anything to do with
Yeah.
it. Um, but they've also released the 2023-2024 calendar, and it's interesting going off our last chat that we had post-season about what we were kind of looking for next year, and they've kind of maybe listened to you a little bit. Um, and it's an all American, it's an all North American affair this time around, and we've got 6 venues only instead of 10. So it's slightly more condensed, but at the same time, not too much. I'll just run through it quickly and then get your thoughts on it essentially. So we're going to kick off on the 16th and 17th of June in Jay, Oklahoma, before moving to Salt Lake City in Utah from 18th and 19th of August. Then it's a bit of a gap to Phoenix, Arizona on the 10th and 11th of November. Then got a month break until Glen Helen on the 9th and 10th of December, then Calgary, Alberta on the 2nd to 3rd of February 2024, and then the return of an old favourite of ours, TBA, to be announced February or March in 2024 for the season finale, which we'll get to that particular one in a second. But of the new people, we've got Jay, Oklahoma, and Salt Lake City, Utah. Which one of those are you most looking forward to?
I think you mean new places, not people. But
New places. A long day. I was just so
um,
confidently saying that I just stuck with that. You just didn't see any
I
hesitation.
know. Totally cool. I think the calendar's interesting. I'm in two minds. I think they know their market and that's why they've come back to North America.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to see that they've thrown in a couple of extras, that they're sticking to tried and tested, whatever that saying is. Um for
Places, not people.
the for Phoenix and Glen Helen, and I like that they've left Calgary in there because I know that was a
Mm.
really big event for them last year, and it's fun to see them on ice. Sad that there's not two snow events this year,
Mm.
but who knows?
Then
Potentially
again, we
February
don't
or
know where they
March.
are at the
That's
end. Yeah.
why, yeah, maybe they're keeping that in there. Um, Surprised in the sense of I don't know why they didn't keep it global. They had plenty of opportunity to make it the perfect global championship. They could have gone down to Mexico and that would have been
I was
incredible.
to say that
They
was my
could
kind
have,
of thing with it. If you're going to
Yeah.
stay on that side of the pond, you could have gone Jamaica with Fraser. You could have gone Mexico. There's plenty of stuff in South America where you'd think they'd be up for it, like you said, and it's not too far away. You don't have to go
Hmm.
necessarily south, but you could at least tackle some of the central countries, maybe Costa Rica, Guatemala. The place down there is like that'd be interesting.
I definitely that would be super interesting, and I think you would find some very kind of the events that have people that just show up for one events. I definitely
Mhm.
think there'd be loads of people for those. I'm surprised that they didn't stick around with Europe. I know it didn't hit the mark like it should have last year, but they had the opportunity to capitalize and make it incredible. So they could have focused more on, maybe they could have done Finland that they missed last year. Maybe they could have picked some prime locations that what's the word? That kind of brought that fun of Nitro to Europe. Like they really did miss a trick, I think, and they're trying the tried and true method, but I don't know. A part of me is a
The only
little
thing I can
disappointed.
think about it for is that maybe they're kind of scaling things back a little in terms of we'll focus on just North America, and we've got that for this year then, and we're going to use all of this time for then 2024, 2025 as maybe a bigger global, more global calendar, and we can get some proper stuff in place so that, because you remember we had stuff for the season last year that we were meant to go to, like Saudi, like Finland, and we didn't go there. Maybe they want to
Mm-hmm.
create a calendar where it's definitely feasible and they can capitalize on all of the revenue that they can maybe make from North America this season to
Mm-hmm.
springboard themselves a bit more. And maybe thought, okay, this was good, but we didn't have quite as much as we needed to on the fan base over there. How do we do that? How do we develop it? And maybe that's part of the thinking there. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's completely. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to think, let's test it out, scale it back, and then go for it. And at least we can do it properly then, and really, really make a meal out of it.
I agree, but they also know this works. It's not like they've not done
True.
it before. They've done it before. They tried the global. I don't think it hit as well as it should have, but they should have been like, all right, well, how do we make it better? My
Mm.
only issue with it staying North America, therefore, is are you going to see European drivers coming in?
Yeah.
Because with the free rounds that they were going to have in Europe, you were seeing the Michaelas, you saw like Tommy Horman coming in, you
Mm-hmm.
saw different people, and you saw rally like regular FIA rallycross drivers coming in for like one-off events because it was in
Mm.
Europe.
And that was something
I don't
really
know
lovely
whether
about the season last year.
yeah, exactly. And I just don't know whether that's going to happen. Like, would it be feasible for a European driver to not compete on one event in Europe?
Yeah, it's kind of
I don't
it's
know.
it's kind of yeah, you wouldn't come all the way to America just for one event, but then again, you might only have the budget for that. And the only thing I can think of that would maybe make up for it in a way would be if we see people from Central and South America or Canada coming in and maybe more than one round if they can manage it. I mean, we've only got 6 rounds anyway, but I mean, if we could come for at least two, that would at least kind of you've got to think as much of the younger drivers that want a chance to prove themselves in Europe would take that opportunity. Maybe this is a way for all the other people on the other side of the pond, your side, to go and
Mm-hmm.
experience it that way, and maybe that would be something there. But again, it's hard to know at this moment. We're still pretty. This is pretty fresh news from where we only had it earlier this week at the time of recording. So
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's going to definitely be fun. They know what they're doing. They've capitalized on what they're best at, and that is American events, North American events with tons of fun. And I can only imagine what they're bringing. And who knows, maybe we're going to see that minivan round. Who even
is
knows like
hoping. Is
what
hoping.
they could
I want to see
possibly
that in
do,
Calgary. I want to see that on ice.
right? But I do go, did they decide to not compete with Rallycross? Because with what they had the opportunity to become the better version.
Yeah, and
And I
arguably
don't
already
know
were
whether
doing
they've
that in some
chickened out
respects.
of it.
So it's yeah, and it seems like World Rallycross as well. Their world calendar is very Europe intensive and not very much of other places. So you think, are they kind of like carving up the world between them slightly? Like you take Europe, we'll
Mm-hmm.
take North America, and we can both coexist, and it's good for the overall sport, maybe. But at the same time, I would think surely you'd just let competition decide which one's better, and the fans will tell you what they want.
100%, but it's no longer Rallycross, is it? It's Nitrocross. So
Nitrocross.
potentially they have just decided to stick to what they know, and they've gone, well, we're not really going to be competing with FIA World Rallycross anymore because we're not trying to be that. We're trying to be different. We're trying to be better. But I still don't see why you can't have it in Europe because, as I say, you would get European drivers, and having like the random people coming in is fun. So
again, maybe it'd be something, I think we discussed this before. I can't remember if we did it on here or if we just did it when we were messaging, but then potentially 24, 25 have the first half of the championship all in Europe and then have the second half all in the Americas. And then you could do a thing where you have the overarching championship and the drivers that are going to be there the whole time will have the budget to be able to do all of that. But then you can also have, for those drivers that are more confined to one area rather than the other, you can have this European championship and you can have your American championship. And it's just a way of making sure that you can include all these other drivers who are still looking to make a name for themselves, but can't quite compete on the same level as yet because of budget or time or whatever, or because of other commitments, but it gives them the opportunity still. So maybe that's on the cards at some point. Who knows? I mean, maybe we just need to be in charge of the calendar for next year. Maybe that's another one of our jobs for that. But I want to have a quick question for you for February, March, the TBA. Ideal scenario, where do you want it? And you can't really you can't say Florida, but that's too convenient.
That was going to be my answer, Florida. Florida, only because I think it would be fun to go somewhere completely different that they have been before, but they haven't been for in a while. And that would mean there's no repeat because I don't want to see a repeat. I really, really don't want to see a repeat. The other thing I would appreciate Quebec to go back to that event, or why not try something completely different and end up in the North Carolinas or Texas?
I was thinking of Texas just now, actually, to be honest, because I thought that seems like a very nitro-y kind of place where you could see them getting along. I mean, the barbecues for Street Bike Tommy alone there in somewhere like Dallas or Austin would be insane. So,
I mean, Rally Ready is in Austin, Texas, right down the road from Circuit of Americas. I am shouting out Dave Carpeccian in this because I know a round could be held there. And it would be awesome.
And at this point, it's May. That's in February, March next year. There's plenty of time to make that happen. Just saying.
Absolutely. So, I think those would be my thing. Obviously, I'd love it in Florida. That would be great. But I think Austin, Texas would be fun. They could do a little tie-in with, I don't know. They could do a ton of stuff. Like they always do.
Like you
really
say,
fun
they're
things.
doing whatever they want to, and that's evident with the rebrand and the condensed calendar. It's like, yeah, just decide what you want to do and just go do it. It's not stopped you at any point. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember which one it is. I want to say it's the track in Oklahoma. I think that's the one they purpose built for Nitrocross now. So it's like, if you're getting to the point where you're purpose building tracks, you don't really have any excuses for not doing other things.
No, I agree. You can go anywhere you want. You just have to have the land and you have to have the bodies to be able to do it. And you have to be able to have the people to show up. So I think they have plenty of opportunity, and the Americans love this sport and they love what Travis does with his whole nitro realm. So there's so much to be done. I'm going to throw out one question here. We haven't talked about it, but top 3 drivers you want to see back for this calendar?
Oh, let's think. Well, you got to get back in there for starters, because as impressive as this whole championship was, you do want to see him getting up there and fighting for the championship again. I do want to. I'm going to cheat slightly and say a team, because I do want Excite back there, just because they went through such hard work to get where they were, and it'd be a shame for that to stop then, and we don't get to see the potential keep going. And it'd be interesting to see what they could do, especially as it's all American and you've got a couple new tracks. But because we've got these 3 rounds at the moment in Phoenix, Glen Helen, Calgary, where they've all been there before, it'd be interesting to see what you could do there. As for a third coming back, I don't know, because I'm now just trying to think of the junior categories, or the other categories rather, who'd be there from it. I don't know, it kind of be nice to see Leah Block in the full season. I don't know which category, but it'd be fun to get her back there, because she seemed to enjoy herself from the stuff we saw before. Some of those drivers maybe that we saw coming for the one-off rounds who were looking to get into racing that had the non-racing backgrounds necessarily, so like Letitia, it'd be a shame if we didn't get to see her back for a full season because they were trying it. I was like, well, then have a full season.
Mhm.
It's all America. You don't have the excuse now. So that'd be me. What
Yeah.
about you?
I think Fraser, because I think he's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Curious to know if anything clashes with Extreme that would take him out of that.
Have a quick
I
look.
haven't personally compared them, so I don't know.
Nothing off the top of my
But
head there, actually, because you've got Extreme in July, there's nothing there, and then
yeah,
it's September, there's nothing there. So the only thing I could think of would be maybe the November, but I don't think that'd be a big clash, to be honest.
yeah. I think Robin Larson to see if he could defend his title and to see if he's
Mm-hmm.
as dominant. And then I'd like to see new people.
You said
Who can I
your
just
question was
think
who
of
did you
off the
want back
top?
though?
I know, but I'm now thinking it's a given that Travis is going to be back. It's a given that Conor Martell's
Hmm.
likely going to be back with Vermont Sports Car, and you took the rest, so I'm kind of stuck. Um, so let's go with who would I love to see in Nitro that I think would be awesome.
Kimmy.
Yeah, I think Kimmy would be fun.
When in doubt, throw
Do you
Kimmy.
know what? Seb Ogier or Seb Loeb. That would be fun.
Loeb would be tricky, I think, given he's gone back to the enemy of World Rallycross this year, but Ogier would be interesting, I think.
Yeah.
I
Or
think we
even Calais Rovanpera. It's highly
hmm.
unlikely this will ever happen because he
Well,
has a
we've got
full
to call it now.
WRC
So
season. But I think
I'll shoot
Calais
the
would
shot.
give them all a run for our money. Do you know who actually? Oliver Solberg. He's only driving an
Hmm.
R5 in WRC2. Why not come and put your hand at this
And
and
Race of
see if you can
Champions, he proved he was good on
really
the ice there. So it'd be kind of, even if it was just for one round, Calgary's calling to you at that point now.
yeah. And if we're going really out there, let's get Peter Solberg back out.
I'll get them in a team against each other this time. There
Yeah,
you go.
let's do it. Nitrocross, go do some work and get the Solbergs in because I'd pay to see that.
No, no, definitely. That'd be a lot of fun. No, I like this. We'll make a graphic up and we have a couple of suggestions there. We'll see who else gets suggested then that we've obviously forgotten about. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, that'd be a
but
lot. Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm getting distracted already there. I just want to point one other thing out on the calendar there. It's interesting the places that have returned and the places that haven't from North America because you've got
uh,
Phoenix, you've got Glen Helen, but Minnesota not returning, which is interesting because I mean we didn't have any bad rounds last year in theory. They just kind of got better and better and better. But I do
yeah,
find it interesting that Phoenix and Glen Helen are the two that we get back.
yeah. I guess they're going location wise. If you look at all of these, most of these are on one side of the country. They're
Mm,
not even really hitting the East Coast. So
no.
I guess Minnesota's a bit too far over, according to this calendar. Um, Again, don't quote me on my geography of the US because I couldn't tell you where Oklahoma is. I'm sure it's somewhere in the middle of the Midwest, but I
I would
don't
say
know
it's
whether
more
Minnesota's
Midwest
first or not.
than you'd say Minnesota. I wouldn't think is too far away from Oklahoma off the top of my head, but you're right
It's
about Utah and Arizona and Los Angeles. It's all kind of over there.
man. That's why I would really like to see some East rounds. Sorry, East American rounds.
We are not good
East
at English
Coast.
today,
There we
ladies and
go. We
gentlemen.
got there in the end. East Coast rounds. There we go.
No, I'm trying to think where would you go though, because I'm thinking it'd be fun having stuff on the East Coast, definitely, but I just can't. You think Nitro and you think that vibe, and you just think of the East Coast and think, there's nothing that jumps out to me at mind of the location you
Mm,
have for that.
I think New England could be fun. Maine, Rhode
Okay, yeah. You
Island,
think like this New England, I was thinking because of
North.
the rallying that you've got there
Yeah,
already.
that's where I went with that. Yeah. And then I would also be down to see like the Carolinas. There's lots of stuff that happens over there.
South Carolina would probably be all right with that. They've kind of got, I feel like, a nitro-ish kind of tailgating vibe.
They have the whole of motorsport since it's NASCAR's home and everything there,
That is also true.
So
I was thinking
yeah,
2 million.
maybe Indiana too. There's obviously all of the IndyCar fans in Indiana. Like, let's be real. You're catering to American motorsport fanatics who are gonna travel anyway. We saw the rounds last year. There was people. There's no shortage of people.
I was thinking as well, if you plan it far enough in advance, you've essentially got a year to do this nitro if you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
not even as a championship event, just have like an exhibition event near or around the same time as the Indy 500.
That would be smart.
Because you've got people are coming anyway for one of the biggest motorsport events in the world, and arguably the biggest motorsport event in America. And they take about 3 weeks of practice before they do the main event anyway. Get Nitro Circus to just rock up for a weekend, and Bob's your uncle.
Absolutely. Do a little tie-in with IndyCar.
Get a couple of IndyCar drivers to have a go at it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Why not?
We've solved the calendar. There we go.
Yes,
TBA
we have.
Not
We've done
TBA
it.
for next year needs to be an A, and it needs to be an Indy.
But I think that is all we have time for on this front. But we're going to be back soon, I hope.
Yes,
June's not far, right?
No, June's not too far away, which is scary, but we won't go into that. But we'll try and get some other stuff in the meantime. We're getting very close to the time we're going to have a final ranking of the season as voted for by all of you on our social media channels. So I've just got one more fight to have out on that one, and then I will have a definitive ranking, which we can all then bicker over accordingly. But in the meantime, yes, that is all we have time for in this episode. If you want to find Nabila and I in other places in the meantime, you can find all of the locations for that in the show notes for this particular episode. And yeah, essentially, thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you again soon.